Good evening. My name is Odie Hawkins. I'm here with Salena-Hawkins, and once again we welcome you to Monday's evening's reading. As I explained last week, I had the opportunity to write a newspaper column for a newspaper called the African Times newspaper. The publisher was a man named Mr. Charles Anchiam. And it was a very interesting experience, and I was going through the files the other day. I wrote from April 96 to 98, 2 years. And I was given carte blanche to just write about whatever I felt something about. And since I'm an opinionated type, I have some feelings about a whole bunch of things. So that's what I wrote about, a whole bunch of things. Today, I'm going to read what I thought about a whole bunch of things in April. I did these, this is on a bi-weekly basis. This is from April 1st to 15th. The paper came out bi-monthly. And as a matter of fact, I'll just read two of these.
Okay.
These are columns I wrote for the African Times newspaper. The paper was published by Mr. Charles Anchiam, and may the road to hell grow green, awaiting his return. I mean, his voyage. That was a faux pas.
Okay, this was in Ghana, right?
No, that was Mr. Charles Ansah.
Oh,
You know what? I looked at the coincidence. I spoke about it last time.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these people had the same initials, Charles Ansah in Ghana with the newspaper, The Ghanaian Voice,
Oh, that's right.
and Charles Anchiam here. One was Ghanaian and the other was Nigerian.
This is for the Nigerian.
Well, they were both from West Africa.
Okay, yeah, so this
That was that.
Mhm.
Okay, here we go. The column is titled, "And His Name Was Not Pat Buchanan." You got to go back a little bit in your mind, in your history,
There you go. Okay.
to remember. Like millions of other people, I first caught it on CNN. I watched the scenario of the South Carolina state trooper pulling the sister over, Dateline, NBC, 10 p.m. March 19th, 1990. Horribly fascinated. He approached her vehicle with his weapon drawn and screaming in his crudest Marine Corps drill sergeant voice, ordered her out of her vehicle. Incredibly, he recorded his own violent, crazed behavior on his patrol car video. Was he in search of some negative stardom? What follows can only be described as the kind of racist horror movie that many African Americans have rebelled against for many years. The woman was pulled from the vehicle, roughly pushed to the pavement, and raped by a 200-pound madman in a South Carolina state trooper's uniform in full view of passing motorists and ultimately millions of people around the world. I'm saying, I'm sure that I have to get myself together about this because the sight of it comes back into my mind. I'm sure that few of the motorists who whizzed by had to be African Americans, and at a more together time, a bunch of them might have paused to inquire about what was happening. It took me a few astounded moments to realize that the woman was being raped. I'm sure she reached that conclusion much sooner. The rape was symbolic. The big guy mounting the woman to put handcuffs on her submissive wrists, but it was total rape, nevertheless. All of the elements were there, the rapist using his authority as a power tool, the crude language under the color of authority, which continued on the soundtrack after the victim was shelved out of camera range. I can't recall a so-called suspect being so badly mistreated, not even on Cops, a program that documents police criminal confrontations nightly on TV. The abused woman was locked up in this small South Carolina jail and managed to escape with the aid of the NAACP after a period of time that must have seemed like eons to her. In the interview section of the program, an opportunity to give an objective look at both sides of the story, the trooper argued that there was no racism involved. In a crocodile-teared minute, he tried to assure the world that he was not really the beast that was captured on video. NBC/Dateline, leaning over forward to be objective, showed excerpts from letters of recommendation that had been written in the trooper's favor over the years. I couldn't bring myself to imagine that any African Americans were included in the letters to explain how much they loved the way he dissed them. Perhaps there was a sarcastic note or two. Dear Officer so-and-so, I can't begin to tell you how much we appreciate that kick you planted in Kwame's bottom. It really straightened him out. He hasn't gone 10 miles above the speed limit since his encounter with you. Police images flooded my brain for a few hours. Selma, Birmingham during Bull Connor's day, the Watts Rebellion that most mainstreams still call a riot, the Chicago Democratic Convention. Stupid questions from an interviewer who asked a number of intelligent questions. Do you think he would have jumped on your back if you had been white? My daughter, Adesina, well acquainted with Southern macho racist police behavior, keeled over with sarcastic laughter. I stayed prone and felt my jaw drop. What do you think he was thinking when he slammed his hat on your car top? For the uninitiated, please remember it's all on compulsively recorded video. Images that burn. Yes, of course, it's the macho chauvinism in me that feels outraged by the treatment the sister received. It would be emotional fraud to suggest otherwise. But what about the hundreds who drove past the scene? No one stopped. Ending on an up note, the police chief of the place where this infamous business took place, when asked what he would do about others with similar mentalities, made it quite clear that they would be zapped, just the way the other guy was zapped. The police chief's name was not Buchanan. This is African Media Watch, title of the column. May 1st, May 1st to 15th, bi-weekly. Lights, camera, racism. Cut. Let's call this one a parting shot, a look over our shoulders. Consider these matters. The Los Angeles Times, March 19, 1996. Movies. Many executives agree that minorities should play a bigger part in Hollywood, but some say Jesse Jackson's Academy Awards protest is the wrong approach. Since many executives did not come up with the right approach, we can ensure that the wrong approach was the right one. And minorities, I hate that word.
Majorities.
Minorities, in my mind, rhymes psychologically with diminutive. But I guess that's the point, isn't it?
Yep.
More from the article written by Elaine Putka, a Times staff writer. There's clearly a problem in terms of the opportunities Hollywood gives minorities and in the way they're depicted in movies. Fox Filmed Entertainment Chairman Peter Chernin said Sunday, when it comes to African American themes, we tend to make a limited kind of action film, inner city violent ones that are less likely to receive Academy Award nominations. Sounds like the grandfather clause wedded to a cinematic catch-22 to me.
Yes.
Despite the fact that only one African American, Diane Houston, for her live-action short film, Tuesday Morning Ride, received a nomination among the 166 given out. While I appreciate its symbolic and publicity value, the event is about achievement, not race, said Tom Pollock, former vice chairman of MCA. By focusing on it, Jesse is demeaning the accomplishments of those who were nominated, as well as producer Quincy Jones and host Whoopi Goldberg by participating are the Uncle Toms? Oh well, he didn't get it. Let's move on. The Academy is about longevity, since it takes so long to be inducted, Pollack said. But African Americans are not alone in having good work overlooked. Sense and Sensibility director Ang Lee wasn't nominated, not because he's an Asian. Neither was Apollo 13 director Ron Howard, for that matter. There's racism in Hollywood, but strides have been made. 10 years ago, the industry was totally white, with a few tokens. Though minorities are still very underrepresented, it's much more open. This is the kind of statement that my grandson, Brian, says, causing him to go, L.A. Councilman Nate Holden held a press conference to complain about the treatment and lack of Oscar nominations afforded Republic Pictures Once Upon a Time, when we will call it. Marvelous movie. A period drama about African Americans in the segregated South that was turned down by every major studio for being too soft and too human. Its director, Tim Reed, said, who used to play Venus Flytrap on Cincinnati. Jackson's approach to the problem drew mixed responses from African American actors. Sonia Maddox, chair of the Screen Actors Guild's African American Subcommittee. From a political point of view, however, it's good to have a voice. Though some blacks are 100% behind Jackson, others see him as an opportunist. I doubt that anyone would follow him into a picket line or a boycott without consulting with the Guild. Work opportunities are limited enough. No one wants to be additionally cursed. Easy to see why white America thought Malcolm X was such a bad actor, with his famous line, "By any means necessary." The Urban League Plus lost in the Hollywood Shuffle. Okay, tomorrow night I'm going to continue with the headline is, in this Media Watch column, is Where is Africa? Where is Africa?
Wow.
A week of careful study of the nation's leading mainstream newspapers reveals several interesting things. Africa is obviously not considered newsworthy unless there is a catastrophe, a famine, a war, or a coup. And that's the way it starts.
Wow.
So, columns from yesteryear,
Yes.
and I think you'll be able to see as I go more and more into them that from 1996 up to 2023, so many things are so much the same that you begin to wonder, did you hear the latest thing about DeSantis wanting to have black people appreciate the employment opportunities that slavery gave to black people?
You know, work without any payment for your services. Yeah.
No unions.
No unions. All right.
Terrible boss. I could go on and on and on. But let's continue this tomorrow evening.
Fantastic.
And,
thank you very much. Your website is www.odiehawkins.com, and you also are on Amazon Video. You have videos there. And so I look forward to tomorrow's readings in these moments in time.
It's like sort of meeting and greeting old friends again.
Yes.
Hi, I'll get back to you.
Yes, indeed. Oh, and I see you have some other books behind you.
Oh, yeah. You got Ron Dowell's new book. You got Pat Forte's new book.
Yeah. Okay.
These are members of the Bilbrook Writers Workshop. And hopefully we will have other members of the workshop with their works.
And I'm sure they are working on their second and third novels.
Better believe it.
Okay. With that,
It.
Miss.